She used to always say, "Suno sabki, pan karo man ki."
And once you visit Oman and you see how,
I think you need to have a lot of self-awareness.
The biggest challenge is that people actually are self-doubting.
So I had the opportunity to practice 4 times every week on school time.
Me, the motto is not to be the first Indian or the best Indian.
I do 70% of my sessions for preparing on my strength.
Bhushan, keep
Yes.
the Sports Champ magazine going because you inspire all of us in school.
That when I played first time for India, it was at the age of 20.
The other thing that's also helped me greatly is like the yoga.
I don't think any sportsman can achieve anything without family support.
Hard work plus courage is equal to champion.
Try to work something on the brand you have.
Strong grassroots training system. I think that will really help our generation.
That, if I can walk around, if I can run around like a normal person, I might as well drive it like a normal person.
The experiences that is being shared on this platform I think is priceless.
Hats off to you for really encouraging sports in the youngsters.
It's so amazing that Mr. Bhushan, you have taken upon yourself.
So this platforms gives every educators a boost to think. And
I would like to tell all the educationists that let us not give sports like a stepmotherly treatment.
Your initiative taken, Bhushan, I really appreciate that. This was literally missing.
Goal setting, I feel, basically can be achieved only if they are your own personal goals.
Hello everyone, welcome to Sport Champ Live Talk Show. I am Bhushan Thakur, founder and editor-in-chief of Sport Champ, a sports education magazine. We are happy to start an exclusive series on Indian sports school, where I'll be having the privilege and honor to interact with top educationists of India who are promoting sports at the grassroots level, their vision, methods, uniqueness, which are inspiring many. And we are hopeful that this exclusive series on Indian sports school will guide and inspire many educational institutions across India to know the ways and methods applied to promote sports at school level. Today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Payam Shoghi, sir, Director, Center of Excellence, Pune. Awarded the Man of Excellence Award by the Indian Achievers Forum for outstanding achievements in education and social service in August 2017. Having a managerial, administrative, and leadership capabilities with 20 years of experience in leadership roles across a diversity of educational institutions, including schools, developmental agencies, and NGOs. Currently working with Shantilal Mutha Foundation, which is a national development agency active in the field of school education reform. Currently involved in the core team for developing and implementing strategies and programs for running a pilot involving transforming 488 government schools into model schools in collaboration with the government of Maharashtra. Welcome to the show, Payam sir, and thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you so much, Bhushan. It's a pleasure to be here.
Sir, we start our show with a small Sport Champ challenge question. And that is, if you have a body of a human and head of an animal, which animal would you pick and why?
The body of? What was the question?
If you have a body of human and head of an animal, which animal would you pick and why?
A lion, I would say.
Okay, and why?
Well, you get the best of both worlds. You get the subtlety of human existence and also the power and awe of a lion. The combination would be unbeatable, unmatchable. Nothing could be better.
Sir, and if I reverse this question, if you have a head of human and body of an animal, which animal would you
Even better. Even better. Then I think like a human being and act like a lion. That's even better.
Fantastic, sir. Sir, what do you think about the Sport Champ platform and this exclusive series which you have started on Indian Sports School?
Marvelous, marvelous. I wish there were more people like yourself, Bhushan. You see, look at the size of our country, look at the population of this country, and look at our performance in the international sports arena. What was our... it's becoming better, our medal tallies in Olympics and so on, but smaller countries like Korea, Japan, Vietnam, they are outperforming us. They're better than us. in terms of why is that? Many reasons, and I hope during the course of this discussion we will discuss some of them. But really, what you're doing is really great to create awareness, to bring to the fore that missing link of what sports can actually do to our youth in India and also to the country as a whole. So congratulations, Bhushan, for what I've been following your work, and today I have the honor of being part of it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, tell us about your role in Shantilal Mutta Foundation, which is a national developmental agency active in the field of school education reform, and your role in developing and implementing strategies and programs for transforming 488 government school into model schools in collaboration with the government of Maharashtra. So, how you are working on the same?
Well, this is big. The government of Maharashtra, through two GRs, government resolutions, one in the month of March of 2021 and the other in the month of November, they decided that they want to create 5,000 model schools in Maharashtra. So they will pick up 5,000 and eventually, of course, all schools in Maharashtra will become model. But to learn how to go about that, they have selected 488 and they have added recently 17 more. So roughly 500 schools that have to be turned into model. Now, when we say model, we are still trying to define what it means for a school to be a model school. But it means to have the best of everything. So our job in Shantilal Mutta Foundation, and this task has been given to us in Shantilal Mutta Foundation. So we are working on the strategies right now. We are creating the blueprint, charting the pathway, and an MOU is being signed by the government of Maharashtra, and we will soon be working on that. So this is the plan. And this is good news because also it's good news for the sports field also. So when we have model schools, what do you expect? You also expect playgrounds. You also expect a proper program of physical education. You would expect that children from rural areas, which are grossly unrepresented on the national level, they will. So, you know, if 5,000 schools become model schools in Maharashtra or more, you can expect to find a lot more champions from the rural areas where right now there is no exposure. So what we are doing directly or indirectly is going to also influence the sporting achievements of our country, especially of Maharashtra. So that's what we are doing. Very exciting times for us in Shantilal Mutta Foundation.
So it's a big and amazing task, I guess. A lot of work involved. So tell us about your connection with sports. Have you played any sports or were you connected with any sports?
Well, I've been a jack of all trades but master of none. I was tall enough to get into basketball. I played some football, a little bit of school cricket, and table tennis, like yourself. I still do play when I get the chance, and badminton. So this is it, and I need to keep doing that to keep fit. It's a losing battle, but I love these games. I love basketball, badminton, and of course, table tennis also.
Okay. So, according to you, what are the fundamental benefits of sports to any child and why someone should play any sport?
Yeah, you see, there's something we don't realize. Then, unfortunately, that we consider games and sports as only fun, as only entertainment, as unwinding because the child has been studying for 12 hours to go and play outside for 1 hour and come back and study. But we don't realize that sports actually teaches children sometimes more than what they learn in the classroom. One of the things that children learn in the best way, intrinsically from within, is discipline. No, you cannot be a sports person, you cannot be a performer without having discipline. You need to get up at a certain time, your meal, everything has to be organized, you have to be disciplined, then you achieve something. And then we are all the time breaking our heads on how do we discipline children. It's very simple. Expose them to games, expose them to the field of sports, and naturally, willingly, they become disciplined. The second thing, and for me, the more important thing, it's in games and sports probably that our children learn cooperation. Everywhere else, it's all about competition. In the school, like right from the playground to the examination hall, children are being forced in a situation of competition with each other. And most of this competition is unhealthy. It is unfair. But here, when they go in a playground, in a cricket field or football or any of these other games, they are actually learning to cooperate. How valuable, how priceless is that? So there are a lot of things to be learned. Also, we know physically, mentally, you are refreshed, you learn better if you are exposed to more games. So the benefits are immense, but sadly, not many know that, and not many appreciate that.
Correct. Correct. Very well said, sir. So you have been part of so many schools in your journey in the education world. And schools plays a very important role in shaping a child's life, and sports plays a very integral role in the same. So, what structure has been designed to promote sports among every child in school, which can guide many educational institutions across India? As you have already been into so many educational institutions in the past, and also now with all these 500 plus schools. So, what do you think should be the structure which should can promote sports at the grassroots level and especially at the school level?
Well, there are two aspects to this. One is the existing structure. So I have mostly worked with ICSE schools. I was the principal of Riverdale International Schools in the outskirts of Pune for close to 9 years, 10 years. So ICSE is very, very much into sports, and the CISE, the council. So they are with the Games and Sports Federation of India. They're a member of that. Then they have their own ICSE games, which are conducted inter-school, zonal, regional, and national. So we all know that the CISE gives a major importance to games and sports. So that's at one level, where organizations, education boards, or there are also, of course, there are the government, the Zilla Parishad games and the state games and champion athletes and performers. They happen to naturally. Schools make sure that they participate in them. Most schools do that. So this is one. The second is, and that's I think more important, is what goes on in the school itself. Now here again, you have two models. One model is that there is a break or there is a physical education class and you leave the children free. So children pick up a basketball and they go to the basketball court and start playing. Or some children pick up a football and go and play for themselves. And now out of them, somehow, some children shine out. And you can notice that this boy is very good. This girl is very good. That's one model, and that's the majority. In majority schools, this is what happens. The other model is where you actually have people who teach sports. They are the coaches. You call them coaches, or they're professional. They know their trade, and they go there and they get a batch of. We did that at Riverdale. That's what they do. They have their coaches and they have their brief, and they carefully select the children. Of course, children have a choice, whichever sporting activity they want to participate in, and they can change it every 6 months. But then they are trained. They are given a very scientific kind of an approach, and they are. So there are these two models. Now, the first model, which is the majority and the kind of thing that most schools do, I'm afraid does not produce much results. But if you have a program and if you have the people and you're investing in it, then of course that's a better way for doing it. So I believe that's how it should be. Schools, the same importance that they give to a library, to a laboratory, to other facilities, they should also invest equally in their sports program.
Very well said, sir. Sir, as per recent announcement by our Honorable Prime Minister, where he has announced sports to be a part of mainstream in all schools of India, do you think this will bring change across all the educational institutions in India?
It's already doing. It's fantastic. It's fantastic what the Prime Minister is doing. You see, you have Fit India movement.
Correct.
Our Prime Minister wants to see Fit India. All of us have to get fitter. Then there's the Khelo India, wants games to be a culture. You see, there's something very interesting. Have you noticed that our Prime Minister picks up the phone and calls up somebody who has won a medal or who has performed well in an international event, or hosts them to come over and felicitates them? That's the culture. I think what he is trying to do is to create a culture in support of games and sports, and that's that's priceless. And we should all support it. I'm glad you are supporting. You're doing the same thing in a different manner. But what I think Shri Narendra Modi is doing is to unleash a culture, and we are beginning to see the results of that, and it's very positive.
Correct. Very much positively response happening across the India for this, with the steps he has taken.
Yes.
Sir, what according to you are the problem faced during promoting sports among the students, and what is the lacuna of many not pursuing sports as a career, according to you?
There are two parts of it. One is not doing enough for sports. I think I mentioned that there's not enough. There's not enough importance given to it, so there's not enough investment. So the human resources, the material resources, the equipment, also the time. If now Riverdale, for example, is a residential school, so children are there 24/7. You can take out at any point of time 2 hours, 3 hours for children to play. But in a day school, what do you do? So, and because there is so much importance given to academic learning, you cut down. The first thing that goes out of the window is the games time. So I think that balance is missing. So that's one thing. The other thing, why we are not getting people to make sports their career, I think the parents are responsible for that largely. Parents have a lot of say, but they are still going by traditional thinking of children becoming engineers and doctors and IT and that kind of thing. So they don't see games and sports as a viable career for their children. Now, here's a connection. Schools usually will give what parents demand. Parents demand excellent performance in board exams. So that's the priority of schools. Schools will give it. The schools have to make money. They have to attract parents for their support. So they do what parents want. Parents want good infrastructure. Schools will give it. Parents don't care about games. I'm afraid schools will not give it to them. So here, to a large extent, I think parents have a role. If they really want, then schools, if parents demand, and the new generation is doing that. I'm seeing a shift. New generation of parents have their priorities different. They want their children also to be exposed to games and sports and all of that. So that's changing. And once that changes, schools will begin to create that culture of sports and games within their structure. But right now, they are not doing because most parents don't ask for it. They don't care as such.
Correct. So as you have rightly mentioned that parents plays a very important role in taking many decisions for their child. So what synergy schools plan to make them a part of the team, or what you suggest should be done on the same, so that there should be a synergy between the both to take certain decisions to create players and then make them play sports for a longer period of a time?
Yeah, well, that synergy is a good word. That synergy works both ways. On the one side, there are those parents who will come and they will complain, why are you wasting so much time in school for games and sports? Let's have more study. So the school has a role to set these parents down and explain to them that this is also important and this is very much part of our curriculum, and children have to be exposed to games and sports and is non-negotiable, and we are going to do that, and these are the benefits of it. So that's something the school should be doing. On the other hand, the parents also should be going to schools and tell them, well, it's not entirely about studies. We would like to have our children also. You see, school is the platform, is the medium for formal education. It's for formal learning. So the best place where children can come and learn games and sports is also the school. So the parents will come and do that. So that synergy is both ways. Wherever required, the parents step in. Wherever required, then the school also takes the parents on board.
Sir, as you have rightly mentioned that the schools provide amazing infrastructures too. Like many schools in India have amazing infrastructure in selected sports and not in all sports. So if they adopt those sports in which they have state or national level infrastructure and start nurturing players in that sports by conducting talent hunt camps, workshops, coaching camps, high performance training, and structured training program with a reputed coach, which will eventually help to develop national and international players from that sport. So, what do you think about the same? Is it a workable model for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we are beginning to see that happen. The last school that I was working in, I worked at briefly, Venkateshwar Signature School in Raipur as the principal. It's a CBSE school, beautiful campus and infrastructure. They have taken up fencing for the children. It's very unorthodox, it's very unconventional, but they took it up and they're doing a great job with, and there are other such games and sports, and they are making a name for themselves in that field. So yes, this is the way forward. The schools should recognize that games and sports are equally important. And really, the money is there. The money will come. It's just that it's a question of priority. If they have the priority, they will add this and make a name for themselves. Imagine a school producing a Sachin Tendulkar. It goes to the credit of the school. A school creating a champion, a medal winner in Olympics or Asian Games. So recognition also is due to them. So I think, yes, what you're saying is absolutely the way forward.
Superb, sir. So, as there are report card in studies, what do you think of having a report card system in sports where percentages are given on various verticals like physical, technical, mental, sports performance, teamwork, and be evaluated every 6 months? Because if the kid and the parent knows about where they are standing right now, it becomes very easy to evaluate and take the next step further.
But not marks. For heaven's sake, you cannot grade sports and games with marks 50 out of 50 and 40 out of 100. You know, it's like giving marks and grades for value education and moral education, which many schools do. So in the report card, you have moral education 60 out of 100. How do you quantify these things? But yeah, of course, you see, before we talk about the report card, we should talk about the curriculum.
Correct.
Sports has to have a curriculum. So when I'm going to the playground for 1 hour or 2 hours, what is it? The coach, the teacher, the principal have to be very clear that this is what we are going to teach the children on the playground. It's as serious as what is happening in the classroom. So there is a curriculum for football, for swimming, for tennis, for basketball, for football, for cricket. There is a curriculum that this is how we are going to go about this. Once you have the curriculum, then you will have assessment. Now, the assessment is not going to be sitting and writing exam, but obviously it will be on the playground. And then you grade, and then you give a report card. What form that will be is going to be quite different from the academic report cards, of course. But these are the things that are required. So when I say that schools need to invest, it also implies this. So where is the curriculum? What are you going to teach? Is it just that you leave everything free and loose-ended? It doesn't work very well. If you're focused and you have a systematic approach, then of course things work very well.
So this leads to my next question is what system schools follow to upgrade their sports HODs on their skills and knowledge, and how it is being evaluated? Because it has been seen that if there is a DPEd or MPEd teacher, there is no, as we all know that sports is a dynamic field. Every time there's a new thing, new skill, new things coming. So if the HODs are not upgraded, they will not be able to teach the right thing for the kid. So what are the structures being followed, and what you suggest should be done?
I'm afraid I don't know what is being done, but I can tell you what should be done. Whatever you've just said should be done. They have to upgrade themselves. That the coach has to be upgraded. The head of department, the people involved have to upgrade themselves. They have to get the latest technology. They have to get the latest equipment that is out there. It's all part of this whole idea of investing in it. Now, doing it half-heartedly also is better than doing nothing. But really, if you have a correct approach and then all of these will come along. So who are the people who are running our schools' physical education department or sports department? Okay. What are the things required for that? What kind of talent we want? And then there are objectives. Where in 1 year, what are we going to achieve? Then, of course, you have a roadmap and you work towards that. So you need to invest in all of this and, of course, upgrade yourself.
Precisely. Sir, as we have already talked about the infrastructure, so now my next question is very important is that many schools in India are having a facility of a mini sports club. Generally, schools get over at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. and sports training generally starts at 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So if the school starts renting their sporting facilities on off school timing to various top sports academies, so it can become a win-win situation for all schools, sports academies, students, and parents too. So what do you think on the same? Is it a workable model and is it possible?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I used to study in Campion School in Bhopal when I was little. I did my early schooling there. I did till my 8th over there, and we moved on to Patna and all of that. So, Campion School, after school hours, we could go back there and play games. And we would go back. Those of us who are nearby the school, we would go there. Then we would have camps. So I remember we would go for a 7-day football camp, a seven standard, 8 standard, and we had a fantastic person who would put us into tents, and 4 in the morning he would take us for jogs and football and all of that. You see, the larger question is the relationship of the school with the community.
Correct.
If that relationship exists, then there are many opportunities available to both the community and the school. Unfortunately, right now, at least in the cities, now I'm working with rural areas. These 488 schools are all from villages, and community involvement in development of these schools is one of the key elements of turning them into model schools. But in cities, you don't have that. Schools somehow have isolated themselves. Parents, now see, parents, the children are theirs. The children belong to these parents, yet we keep them behind closed doors. The principal is unavailable. He is on round. He is in a meeting, and they have to wait for hours. I have done that before I came in the field of education. I was a young parent, and I had to sit for 2 hours to meet the principal of my daughter's school in Bhopal. Now, it doesn't make any sense. Schools have to open their doors without, of course, unsettling everything. It can be done to be more welcoming to parents, to the general community, and then you will find many opportunities. What you are suggesting is only a small part of it, to make use of the school infrastructure. There's so many other things that can happen. So I think the main idea is the kind of relationship that a school can develop with the local community.
Superbly kept, sir. Sir, my next question I've already asked to more than 500 principals across India, and yet I have not found the answer, which no school is currently doing in the country. In studies, the journey is very clear to students and parents, but there is very less clarity on sport journey at the grassroots or school level. So what type of sports counseling you feel are required at school level, which will provide clarity on sport journey and playing the sports for a longer period of a time? For example, choosing the right sport at the right time. What are the careers available in sports? How to get into the international arena? What is the right time to get into? So there are physical counselors, there are technical coaches, there are mental counselors, but there is no sports counselor who can guide the students as well as parents on the journey of sports. So there, in the country, there is a big lack of sports counselors. So what do you think about the same?
Well, I'm not aware. Maybe you know more than me about this, whether there are counselors or not. But I can tell you that this kind of counseling that you're pointing out is to be done at 2 levels. One is a general counseling to all students that sports can be a career for you. These are options. This is what has been happening in the sporting field, and this is the career path that you can expect. Of course, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of discipline, it takes a lot of hard work, and all of that. This is a general thing for everybody.
Correct.
Later on, when you spot talent, now here is somebody shining out, doing something greater than the others, then you need counseling of a different sort. Now, here you need to catch hold of that child, that boy, that girl, and give a different kind of encouragement and more technical. Now, here a general counseling will not do. And that's where you create champions. But again, are we prepared for it? Are schools prepared to go all the way? It doesn't take much. You don't need a full-time in-house counselor. These are visiting people, but you collaborate There are NGOs, there are organizations like your own who can, tie up with schools and do that. But the desire should be there to really do all that.
Correct. Very, very well kept, sir, and very well organizedly structured wise you have kept that answer. So my last question to you is, what is the lacuna of less participation of girls in sport in the grassroots level? As we have seen that in Olympics, many medals are won by the female segment. But when it comes to grassroots level girls participation, it is seen that there is, compared to boys, it is just 10 to 20%. So why this lacuna, and why there is less participation of girls in sport, especially in school level?
Well, this is a reflection, I think, of our general mindset favoring boys. So we are still a male-dominated society. We are getting better. We are beginning to realize that you cannot keep 50% of the human resources available to a country underutilized, underdeveloped, and expect to go very far with the remaining 50%. So everybody is realizing that it is in our own benefit, for our own good, that we empower our girls, educate them, support them, and let them go forward. So we are beginning, but it's taking its own sweet time. So if you're saying on the participation of girls in the field of sport, it's no big surprise, because that's the kind of society we still have. And I hope it'll change faster. We are now finding women in the armed forces. They're flying jet fighters, and we are seeing scientists and in space, and all of that is beginning to happen. So gradually, my hope is that we will have more women champions also in the sports field. Also, it really depends. This old mindset that girls have to marry and girls have to cook food and take care of children and all of that. Once we abandon that mindset, then of course we unleash the power that is sitting in this half of the society that we have, the half of the population of our country, and you will be amazed at what we can. We have the example of the Western societies. If they have many flaws, they have many problems, but at least there's one thing, that men and women work shoulder to shoulder. And look at where they have gone. These countries have progressed materially, economically, technologically, because they're all working together. There's an example. We are imitating the West, so let us imitate this one thing at least. It'll be to our benefit.
Very well said, sir. Very well said. Sir, before we log off, what you would like to address to all educators of India, which will help them to promote sports at school level?
I'll give them a very sound advice. Please take sports seriously, because a new crop of parents are inclined towards sports. And these parents will go to schools where they have better sport facilities. This I'm beginning to see. There's a very clear trend that new parents who bring their little ones for admission, they say, sir, I don't care if my child tops the class or not, but I want my child to learn many skills. I want my child to excel in extracurricular activities in games and sports and all of that. So they have a very realistic and more balanced outlook towards what they expect from their children. And games and sports is right up there. So schools, for their own benefit, they better, if they really want to attract this lot of crowd, they have to do that. Second is that I mentioned that there are certain things that children learn much better on the playground, like discipline, like cooperation. So for the sake of teaching these important lessons to the children, they need to do that. They need to upgrade their sport and take it very seriously and make those investments that are required. And finally, for the sake of our country, to create that sporting culture in the whole country so that we have more champions, we can get more medals, we can hold our head high with pride and say India is a great sporting power. But that'll happen in the schools. So these are some of the things that schools should motivate schools to really take sports and games more seriously.
It's an amazing piece of advice, and I'm also seeing this change in parents going towards developing their kids into sports. and they are giving importance to sports a lot. The current lot of parents.
It's true.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time and agreed to share your vision.
My
mission,
pleasure.
and mission.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much, Bhushan.
Thank you so much, sir. Dear viewers, we will keep on bringing such insightful episodes on Indian Sports School, which will guide many educationists across India and eventually help in promoting sports